to death because of Africans, known as Moors that come there and run with it. So,
Woogie, play that shit. I'm telling you, I know I'm with the lawyer, so don't ask me. I know y'all are Moors, just ask General Khalid. The General, Ma, I'm a Moor. Got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. The General said he's a Moor MVP. Won't take heed. Your greed for his name fame got me skunk drunk. You never pull the trigger, just pulls with the shotgun pump. Wigging and hating, showing no love, but you're showing taking licenses for ID at the police station. On top of that, no rights reserved on the contract. Dirty Moors finesse masters use old leaders for cats. Show their picture but won't use their best codes. Only use the ones to bring in fiat notes from scarecrows. Kwame Touré's wife, even Warren says at their wedding. A flicker at Snick and all black organizations begging. Walking with limbs peg-legging. These conscious pirates. Fake freedom warners getting no ratings when I'm irate. Conscious. God never sat down with Taj Bey one-on-one. Yes, he is my target, and Lean Bay is my gun. All I do is crush a lot true. My big pun and Fat Joe. Falling on you 50 feet below. Mike Fatso. Mark conscious coon swords up with my firing squad. Tugging out emotions hard like Steven pulling a squad. Larry's no professor. Show me some doctorate degree, son. We'll listen to I'm African crap until I see one. I'm not asking for much, cause I get more than I ask for. Moorish MC, lay it down hot like asphalt. I won't fool though, some call me fool though. Trying to get under my skin, you must be a new bro. Old foe gets full slow, last of the tongue strap. Conscious goons wanna be Jay-Z and make a comeback. Not on my watch, slow till time stops. Less than shot cause the rhyme block. Open up your mind blocks. Conscious.
Galatians. We have them there. Now, these are church documents. But remember, when it became a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain, the Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S. From 711 until 1485, 774 years, when we built and brought into Europe the university system, building the University of Salamanca, S-A-L-A-M-A-N-C-A in Spain, a copy of the university.
King Boom. Started thinking like the colonists, know what you are, started profiting. Started thinking like the colonists, know what you are, started profiting. Started thinking like the colonists, know what you are, started profiting. Started thinking like the colonists, know what you are, started profiting. 30 more still attempt to infiltrate the border. Active Moors are true and take it to the corners. Across highways, past hedges and through borders. Move on 30 Moors like walking down water. Watch out for agents and provocateurs trying to get next to their heads with the doctor's cures. They never pay dues and don't pay dues. Contradicting with chaos and get blues like news. Know before Ali died from Fillmore blues. From the stadium is much before the floor fell through, and that's true. Even though I don't have proof, selling memory tells me don't fall for truth. Drop mental loop, hanging from their own vine from the fig tree. Looking up at them like baby. No white flag or mercy for these fags. 5 point and pentagram is on our flag. Green, but not for cream. That 30 more stuff to throw off the balance of the Grand Treasury books. Getting offers like half true ballers. Those that infiltrate are not Moors but robbers. Robbing the people blind, deaf, dumb, and crippled. They can't tear this up, not one drop or trickle. No matter how hard they try to perpetrate the fraud, dirty Moors always fall on their sword. The problem is we start thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we start profiting. The problem is we start thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we start profiting. The problem is we start thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we start profiting. The problem is we start thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we start profiting. Me not play with us so simple and easy. From 19 how long me see it's sleazy. So sick it's measly and disgusting. Everyone stood there. The Moors did nothing when Jew was attacked. They took the covenant that they will protect them and have his back. They hand on dues by 4 months. Going to kangaroo courts to perform stunts. Temple versus temples. Lawsuits from inner fight. Not doing their job. 3,500 for birthright. Movie force that's supposed to be in Gucci stores with God. Thank Allah for the Sufi more than Buddhist Nagas. Moorish Mike Renaissance, not rap sagas. Confusion clearer. Every battle star wearer. Moorish nationality declarer. Straighten out the crooked ways. Rap conduct squarer. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are. We started profiting. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are. We started profiting. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are. We started profiting. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are. We started profiting. Let me strip them down. I'm the bone bearer. Negro, black, colored, minority, death repairer. Not the being, but the label attached. You see me like Martin going crazy, waving gas. Cause you call yourself black, that's a kicking sign on your life. You can't stab your enemy holding the blade of the knife. Numbskull MC throat, so does that. I'm pulling down Orishas like straw caps. The torture, the rapper, scissor shippers. Rapper, CD scratcher, insert ripper. Call me Jack and get slapped, though. Admiral when I flow, major like macro. Don't spit on a cameraman like Black Will, but beat the case like Black Bill, but no lawyer. Ask Jim Carrey, liar, do nothing for you while they get rich and for you. Make you follow magistrate orders that get the coke, the snort from hood corners and block ghetto. All I see is rappers, dress codes, repetto, tight shirts, skinny jeans looking like heavy metal bands. I'm not paid but hell like bread and hands. I grab mic, no sweat in hands, but good right brands. I don't worry about getting scanned. The problem is we start thinking like the colonists. We know what you are. We start profiting. The problem is we start thinking like the colonists. We know what you are. We start profiting. The problem is we start thinking like the colonists. We know what you are. We start profiting. The problem is we start thinking like the colonists. We know what you are. We start profiting. What up? Raka! North Star! Read our debate every day. Uplift the sea cause we all pay. We enforce the law and we obey. Core fathers from before until today. Reading my Quran and my Torah. Universal laws in Moor. Read 4 chapters, receiving 4 ways. Great divine love rules our first. Before I circle blocks, man, I circle 7 first. You bust the image, but your rhymes hurt. Declare 13 disrespecting earth. Love, but it's all in God's plan. Today's mathematics don't judge a man. Unity of life, embodiment of truth. I'm responsible for every deed because I've seen the proof. No, but true. You have to draw it out for you. Cause nationality is not a color I can use. Cherish the root. Standing on my square, even without shoes. On the highest authority, spirit of blue. Market coffee, whirlwind times 2. The world's in the wind when the trumpet blew. Stand up, go into your bathroom. You got a big Florida feeling, cut the light on it, and you go good hard look at yourself. You are the worst government, and it took me a long time to get to understand that concept. I'm the law ambassador. If I can govern myself, I can govern my household. That's what I should be doing. Why should I walk out of my door and leave everything that I know about myself in the house to go out and adopt something yourself this question. If not me, then who? Destined wisdom, my friends, intelligent creatures, guardians of sacred knowledge, all making features, secrets of the afterlife, manifest the present day. Dirty mortals and scoundrels lose their heads in a pleasant way, deceit and deception, negative past thoughts, keep the awareness on point, spirit messages never off, inner realization, encounter the higher self, explain existence, explain my consistence. Without a foe, you never know, so fast, most resistant. Divinity, my twin flame, side chick and mistress, metaphysics, kabbalistic, albarock mystic, patriarch, statistic, make my thoughts sadistic, so indigenous, call me Americanistic, invoking the ancestors, Saracen cryptic, suns on rotation, flows ecliptic, shatter all illusions, reveal the realistic, sitting in the dark, holding the light marvelous, recognize the artifice, skin so carbonous, hair so antenna. I feel them from Vienna, myriad of virtues, lessons in reptilian henna. Enlightenment seekers won't find it in mainstream. Focus as a laser, stay balanced like a beam. Not even a gymnast. Whenever I flip this, as above, so below, get out when within this. Don't think I'm a slave cause I speak in English. True, I leave the water, watch your flame get extinguished. Living in your higher, lower self is relinquished. Reputation of master teachers, call it distinguished.
Salam, peace and love. Moorish, peace and love to everybody listening. You are now tuned into MHHS Eyes Wide Open Blog Talk Radio. I am Miss Brain, my left L, along with my brethren, the Moorish MC. And again, this is simultaneously being broadcasted on Canaanland Moor's 2 YouTube page. For whatever reason, my brother could speak about it. You know, it was a strike on the Canaanland Moors. I know he'll be back, but for tonight's session, is live streamed on YouTube as well, on Canaanland Moors 2. Peace and love. Oh, hold up, my fault. Let me get this right. Peace and love. Brethren, Cujo, Albo, L. Peace, Noble.
Peace and love, Moor. Islam. Great to be back. Great to be back.
Yes, absolutely. And again, we're going to give acknowledgement from our divine lessons as well. You know, we are here on the eve of our holy day. There is a lot of craziness in the atmosphere as far as the news cycles and all of that this week. What has even been revealed to me through your Instagram page, bro. And I know there's so many places this conversation is going to go tonight. But for starters, I just want to say, and I know you want to add something significant as far as this being the Moorish Convention week, you know, and just from then to now, things that I see, it's kind of crazy because I see there's a clear lack of creativity that's out there. People are biting and remixing things in different formats to whereas it don't belong. And this goes back to what I was saying about what I seen on your YouTube page from the, it was a writ, you know, it was a writ reformatted from the giveaways that RV Bay Publications, we do just give away, you know, with any order. And I just want to say this, Cujo, you know, it's a lesson in this. You know, there's a lesson in this because changing the format of certain things takes certain things out of the essence of what they was made for. Mm-hmm. We may have not knowing some people originally, but what I mean by that is when I saw that on your Instagram, you know, you put the post up where they copied it as far as you know, the consulate court allegedly, you know, Moorish American consulate, whatnot, took a giveaway that RV Bay Publications gives away but has been given away even before there was a .com. And this is what I mean about the format, bro, and the severe lack of creativity, because the reason we had those in that format of giving it away is because it was meant to be given away. And how did we do it? We would go to different venues. I don't know. I know many Moors on the line. They have been to a court venue or whatnot, courtroom, whatnot. What we would do in giving that away, I don't know if they're selling that or whatnot. They put it in a written form with, you know, the heading of Moorish American federal government and all of this. I'm saying we gave that away without any of that attached to it, because this was for all the people, right? So we would go to courtrooms, court venues, and whatnot. And for many of those who know, when you go there, they usually have like this rack for different flyers about advertising, or do you know your rights, do you contact an attorney, all of this. Like we would go there with those folded up that they put into a written form for you to now download or whatever, right? We would literally take the giveaways that you get when you order from RV Baby today. We would take those in courtrooms and take out the, you know, do you know your rights to remain silent advertisers and, you know, attorney advertisers, and we would put those in, right? That's what they were intended for, to give away. So when I seen that on your IG, bro, I'm like, yo, they altering the format of what that's actually for, right? So, you know, I see a severe lack of creativity. There's a lot of fighting going on, and you know, I don't know. That's something that I definitely wanted to put out there from the jump, bro, because, you know, I don't rock with, you know, I love all Moors. I know we all Moors and whatnot, but there's certain ideologies that do keep us apart. You know what I mean? Because when I say I'm a Moor, I know that I'm saying that from being Aboriginal, indigenous to America, because all historical accounts show that Moors were, you know, Aboriginal, indigenous to America. I know what I'm saying. We know what we're saying, right? Some of us don't. Politically, we move as if we're foreigners in our own land. So what I'm saying is, you know, I don't rock with that concept, you know, of trying to convert what is meant to be given away and put a title on it, and you're just biting or reformatting somebody else's efforts and work. Like, that's whack to me. I see a lack of creativity in that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just wanted to say that from the jump and get that out the way. Like, I never been a supporter of that institution. I don't plan to be, you know, and I love all Moors, but, you know, our ideologies can keep us apart because everything isn't right and exact. People agree with me, people agree with whoever else. Like, there's certain things that will be like, yo, look, we can't rock with that because of this flaw. And it's okay. Like, we all here to learn and whatnot. But I'm just saying, you know, what I see from that is like, you know, people need to really get more creative and you know, like, really stop trying to change the format. And, you know, everybody, some people haven't learned that lesson. Some people been through it. I'm just saying, like, you know, the spirit of that they reformatted was meant to be given away. It's not meant for nobody's private class and study group. Like, it's meant to be given away. So whatever they doing, trying to remix that as if that's something they're doing now, and that has been being done. There's many people who've been woken up in real life, not on the internet, based off of those giveaways, bro. And, you know, I don't want to ramble on, but I did want to start there, and I know you want to read something about the convention. We're going to get into these lessons and Moorish history and, you know, the works of Noble Drew Ali tonight. But definitely I wanted to acknowledge that, you know, some people are in these days and times severely lacking in creativity and biting RV Bay publications in the sense of the work that was already done and making it something that is not meant to be, as far as, having a Moorish American whatever on it. It's a giveaway for anybody in America, you know what I mean, whatever nationality. It's not about that. It's not about any of that. So those case laws, yeah, we don't own them, but they're for everybody. It's not, you could believe whatever you want to believe. Know your rights. That's the main point. You know what I mean? That's the main point. So I'm going to yield there more. I know there's something you want to add on, definitely, but I appreciate you sharing that because I would have never known. I never seen that until this morning. So for sure, more if you want to.
Peace, Moor. Islam to all the Moors. One of the things that triggered the share was that it gave me that same energy when because somebody just sent that to me as usual. We have spies everywhere, and that reminded me of when somebody sent me the judicial proclamation papers on the letterhead, on the consular court letterhead, when some other Moors who lack originality went and downloaded that and had this big campaign about bring your stuff to us since the RV Bay website is down and whatever. It gave me the same frequency. You know what I mean? And it's key what you're saying, that there's some authenticity lacking in the minds of some of these Moors getting into this realm, getting into this paradigm. And it was always a fascinating thing to me as to why they would go recreate the wheel opposed to getting with the wheel creator and making the wheel better. So now you got people with square wheels, triangle wheels, rectangle wheels, octagon wheels, making it seem as if they're the founders or they're the creators. And like the Moor said in the track, read RV Bay every day. That's not just some line in a song. Like, that's a real thing, because like you're saying, real time RV Bay save Moors' lives out here. Like real time Moors have reached out personally, email, phone, comment section, to stress the fact that RV Bay publications saved their life. You even go in this chat right here, there's Moors that'll vouch that if it wasn't for RV Bay publications, there'll probably be like all these other Moors out here chasing after tails, thinking that they got something, but we always have to acknowledge the mothers at MHHS. We always have to acknowledge rvbaypublications.com for the foundational work that was laid down. Just like you said, before there was a .com, this work was being put in, setting the energy right. And that was another thing too. When you go to the little thing that they did, right? You could see that they didn't even put it on legal paper. They didn't even put it on legal. They got it on 8.5 by 11, which again lets you know about them changing the energy of what it's supposed to be, right? Because if it's 8.5 by 11, then it's supposed to be a trifold into a flyer.
Yes,
it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be presented in this way unless it's a trifold. The only way that you're getting 8.5 and 11 is for a trifold flyer. Like you're saying, you could give that out easy. It's no problem. People can fold it up, throw it out, use it as rolling paper, whatever they want to do, they could do with it. But the point is that 8.5 by 11 is for a trifold of a flyer. If you're doing a writ, that's supposed to be legal paper. And that's foundational RV Bay publications. That's foundation. There's people right now, they're writing writs on 8.5 by 11 still. As if you're making a statement. You're changing the whole energy of what it is that you're presenting. You know, and again, for them to take it and, you know, like we say, the when you had the trifold, right? You had the one side talking about, you know, do you know your rights? And then they give it break. And then you flip the back and you got the 13 Supreme Court cases that Moors would take and copy that side and add that to their writ. As far as the trifold, with all the cases on it, right? Yeah, you're gonna have 8.5. You're gonna have legal paper as your writ, but the evidence that's attaching to that, so the bill of attainder that you're attaching to that, that's not legal paper, but that's going in there as evidence. The ticket, whatever, that's going in as evidence. The copy of a nationality card, if you're putting that in there, that's gonna go in as evidence. Your 13 Supreme Court cases proving that you have this right, that Supreme Court knows you have the right, then, you know, why not put that in as evidence too? These are energy changing individuals. And once you change the energy, no different than when we say nationality card. And there was nobody presenting a nationality card other than Great Seal and Washita. If we say 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, there was no other nationality cards out there. Because the Moorish Science Temple nationality cards, nobody was using that as ID. That was just a piece of paper. That didn't have a picture on it. That didn't have a signature on it, thumbprint, nothing like that. Right? It didn't exist. So now you got people, they're telling you about barcodes. Now they're telling you about, you know, they have the card turned lengthways just to, and all that does is change the energy. Messes up the frequency of what you're doing. And like we say with the Moorish passport document and all that stuff, we don't care if it works. It's not the point of whether it works or not. That's not the point. The point is that there has to be some type of longevity in what's being done. If somebody's been had a nationality card since 2008 and they've been using it, having no issue, and then somebody pops up in 2019 telling you this is the real nationality card, and you got to have this one, and then you're taking that, and then it works. That doesn't mean jack. You just killed the energy. You just played the whole nation, because everybody should be having one thing that they show to everybody. There shouldn't be any discrepancies in, you know, let me see your nationality card, said the highwayman, and then 50 Moors are pulling out 50 different ID cards. How is that nationhood? That's like who's your prophet? Noble Drew Ali, and then everybody showing pictures of all these reincarnated Noble Drew Alis as their prophet. It's asinine. But this is how it goes when people have no foundation, which is why the Moor said, read RV Bay every day so you can have a foundation, regardless of whatever it is that you're studying. You know, it's like the science teacher that did is the beaker full, and then he put the rocks in there, then he put the marbles in there, and then he put the sand in there, and then he put the water in there, and the water filled in the gaps. RV Bay is the water filling in the gaps. It doesn't matter where you go get information from. You can go get your information from anywhere you want. It really doesn't matter, because the Moorish paradigm is vast as F. The Moorish paradigm is vast. You can't. There's so many ways to beat this European in land that's not theirs. You don't even need to use RV Bay publication, but it's the principle. It's the principle that Washita Moors been around before majority of these people saying that they're Moors. They've been around. Why not study what it is that they got? Why are you going over here study some people that just came yesterday? Like Khalid said, the Johnny come latelys. Why are you going to them? Why are you gonna know that there's these individuals that are presenting information for free, and then you're gonna go over here to some people who have the same information, took the same information from them, put it on their website, take the information from RV Bay, put it on their writ, take the information from RV Bay, put it on their nationality card, take the information from RV Bay, put it on their right to travel card, take the information from RV Bay, put it on their whatever, and then you're going with the secondary thing. It's asinine. And the reason why Moors don't get anywhere and stuff is hard for Moors and how come this doesn't work and all that stuff is because of these same dumb stuff that people are doing. Not sticking to the foundation. Going back again to 1913, Noble Drew Ali, letting all these people know you're not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian, and then 2022 going into 23, people still saying they're black today. And you don't realize what's going on? You don't realize how you effed up because you strayed away from the foundation. And the only reason you strayed away from the foundation because some knucklehead convinced you that what they have is the way. And don't listen. You go to RV Bay. Oh my gosh, you don't want to go to them because they don't do stuff right, and they're not part of the temple, and they don't honor Noble Drew Ali. And you got to do stuff this way because we're the real Moors and BS. And again, like we say, even like Drew Ali said, few faithful Moors. So there's no, masses that's waking up and all that stuff. Even Kanye told him, you people say that they're woke, they're not woke. They're asleep still. Don't be listening to them. Don't be listening to them people. Don't think that because, they don't think that because they make it sound good. Because they make it sound good, that means they're where it's at. Like we said, there's been about 5 or 6 consulates before the people calling themselves consulate today. There's been 5 or 6 before them, and all of them failed. All of them failed. All of them failed miserably. All of them failed miserably. And who's left standing? RVBaypublications.com, still standing there. Still standing there. We know without a shadow of a doubt that all that stuff going on at National Theater got shut down because of what these Moors were doing. We know that was something to stop this energy again. And once again, the attack is on Mother. If you never figured it out yet, obviously because you haven't been reading RVBaypublications.com, take it from Sons of Allah that the attack is always going to be on Mother first. It's always going to be on her. And keep in mind that truth is Mother. Keep in mind truth is Mother. So when they're talking BS about truth, they're going against Mother. And it's a fact.
Yeah, and I would.
Go ahead, Moore. I yield.
Yeah. No. You're speaking facts. But I want to say too, the ending of what was going on at the National Theater and whatnot, that was all divine. You know what I mean? Because the thing is this, whether it happened at that time or 2 years later, we got out the way early. Like nobody seen the pandemic coming, and I don't know about everybody in other parts of the world. But New York City was type different. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't get into restaurants, theaters, and all of that without proof of vaccination. So, yeah, we could have stood the grounds and fought that. But you know what? We was out the way. Allah got us out the way right before everybody had to get out the way anyway. Like, we was ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? Like, we got there in time, because whether we did or didn't in 2018, it would have been a wrap a year later anyway. So, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
I think that was Allah just putting us where we need to be, whatever the reason was.
Yeah.
You know, they said they might say something, another idol, but the reality is, you know, Allah is the best of planners, and that was going to happen either way you look at it. So things ran its course. You know what I'm saying? 12 years. 12 years. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. A lot of these people haven't experienced nothing like that as far as the time of being around and the longevity and meeting so many different people, so many in real life, like not no internet type vibe, like in real life, so many different people. I remember being outside of the theater and the brother who did the Stick Up Kids, you know, stopping, passing, acknowledging. You know what I mean? Like, so many dope memories, but it all had to come to an end regardless, you know? But, yeah, man, so what I'm seeing today is, you know, people like getting caught on the digital wave, whereas those flyers that they turned into writs, right? Like, you know, format, like it's supposed to be some notice. I don't know what they're utilizing it for, but it was always meant to be given away to the masses, bro. So that's what I see in the timeline change. And I feel like, you know, acknowledgement to everybody who went through hard times, who had to do time, etc. But we have to stop, you know, validating people just because they did time, or just because, you know, they did a certain thing.
Just say that again. You know, say that again. Say that again, because that's an important point that you're bringing up right there. Say that again.
Yeah, like we have to stop validating people just because they did time, bro. Like just because they got locked up for doing something, you know, that somebody might not have done or whatever, like whether it be whatever it is, if they was moving on the civic side and got jammed or just being savage, like we have to stop validating people just because they got locked up and did time. Like pay attention to the ones who didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not that they was doing more or less, but I'm saying like, you know, there's people who have claimed mansions, claimed houses, and did not get locked up, whether they got evicted, whatever, it didn't end in being locked up for it. So, you know, and some people still to this day have no issue, you know, but so what I'm saying is like, we look at people like, oh yeah, they did hard time. Y'all, yeah, so they valid. Like, no, the point is to stay out of there.
Right.
Right. So, yeah.
Say that again. Say that again. Say that one again too. Because these people really think that, you know, getting locked up proves your activity or something like that.
Right. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm not saying it can't happen to anybody. I'm just saying, like, you know, that's not a badge of honor. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of you're supposed to know civics. You're supposed to be the civic teacher. And I'm not saying those who, like, sometimes you got to go through some things to learn. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying just because somebody got locked up, that does not make them, you know what I'm saying, valid as far as the subject matter is at hand. Because the thing is, when did you learn this? You know what I mean? Did you have to learn the hard way? Did you have book knowledge and still learn the hard way? Like, you know, just because you do time, that does not make you valid. Because again, like I said, there's a lot of more. So I ask you, well, if you knew all of this, why did you still end up doing time? Right? And we know that there's oppressive forces and all that. But I think that that's what people push, you know, the narrative of. You know, there's bravery, there's wisdom, and then there's just foolishness, right? So, you know, people might be brave enough to do something foolish. You never know, right? Like, but what I'm saying is, if that effect is negative, you can't then say, well, you know, there's something we need to chase in that. There's something we need to follow in that, right? Like, and that's what I'm saying. So, you know, real talk. A lot of people are doing that and coming online like that is their credibility. I've seen more say, yeah, I did 10 years and, you know, that's why. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to know what that experience is like. Nobody does. Even those who've been through it did. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a badge of honor to them. They're like, yo, I'm 10 years behind in life, maybe 20 mentally, right? So it's like, you know, and this is not a knock, and I'm not saying that these are people inferior or any of that. I'm just saying that cannot be the measuring stick of what we determine valid, or, you know, at least, you know, myself, I don't determine that as valid, because it's like, where was the lack of fight to stay out? Like, was it oppression? Was it ignorance? You never know. So, yeah, more like, you know, I ain't going to speak on that too much, but I see that happening. It's like, yo, this dude is coming saying he did 10 years. This dude did 5 for something else. And there's no knock on it, but it's like that doesn't make them, you know, actually leaders at this point. Because nobody wants to end up in the end game.
Yeah. And again with the idea of you know, the manipulation, where there was a thing going around where, you know, people would be saying, oh, don't use RV based stuff, it's gonna get you locked up. You know, they be using it like that, you know, to deter you. So if they're gonna use the locked up thing as a fear thing to keep you from getting this information or whatever like that, how come they're not using it as a fear thing after they got locked up? Like, how come they're not coming out and telling you, oh man, that's the worst thing ever, you don't want to go there or whatever like that? They're not talking like that. They're making it sound like, you know, in exercising your rights, you better get locked up, because that's going to prove to you that you're doing something or something like that. It's madness. It's madness, right? We used to remember brothers go to jail and they come out and they're frowning on that. They're convincing you don't go there. You know what I mean? They're making it a point to stress to people who, you know, are on the block or whatever, hey, that's not the spot. Don't go there. I don't know what plans you got, but the plan is not to be up in that spot. You know, just like you're saying, everybody's biting now. Like, biting's cool. Everybody's snitching now. Like, snitching's cool. You know?
Right.
You know, every you know, every sister is on some whoredom, and then they're promoting consciousness when they're on some whoredom. How are you on some whoredom and you're talking about woke and conscious and we're Moors and all that? The hell out of here. That's not what this is about. This is about staying out of those spots. This is about being dignified. This is about being honorable. This is about being righteous. This isn't about being loose and slack and doing whatever it is that you want. I'm gonna wear whatever I want because of my birthright or whatever. That's not what this is about. This is about standards, especially a certain standard. And one of the realest standards is somebody being honest with you about their errors, not using their errors to try to get you to pay them $5K or something. That's not what this is about. And again, because the further and further that people stray away from the foundation, the more and more you have these creeps. You have these opportunist individuals getting exposure, getting shine, getting clout, getting paraded around as if they've done something for the Moors when they can't even do anything for themselves. Just like we said with the how is it that oh, they're shutting people off right now. How is it that somebody's gonna have this travel document or whatever that they never used? How is it that they got this travel document that they never used? It doesn't make sense. And then everybody's running to get it. Right? Please, more.
Canaanland Moor's YouTube page, MHHS Blog Talk. Is it me? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace, more. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but you know how it goes. Yeah, I'm back in. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, was just saying, it's similar to the individuals who say we have the whatever it is, but then they never use what they have. But they're trying to convince you that what they have is where it's at, or how they do it is the best way to do it, when they haven't even done it before. How is that the way to go? If they've never walked through that fire, how are they telling you go through the fire and then you're going? You know, there has to be supreme, severe discernment during these times, because like we told some Moors a little while ago, you can go playing around with you know these certain activities, you know, exercise your rights and all that stuff, and you know, be defiant and all that. You can do all the stuff we want, but when you get kidnapped, you might not come home. So keep playing around as if these colonists are playing. They killed water, they killed waterways, they killed animals, they kill forests and all that stuff. You think they give a shit about you or whatever? They don't care. Didn't you just see that these people kidnapped Moorish militia for a year for nothing, just because they were saying that they're Moors exercising rights? And just like Miss said, 1 year is probably 5 years mentally. Yeah, physically you were out of here for 1 year. Yeah, 1 year ain't nothing. But what toll is that taking on the weak people? The people who weren't studying, the people who thought this was some, you know, oh, we're just gonna go out here and we're gonna do whatever we want because we're the Moors and all that stuff. They weren't studying, they're just following. Don't get yourself caught up in some stuff that you can't get yourself out of. You're going to be sorry. Take it as a lesson. Don't get caught up because somebody said, oh yeah, I went to jail for 7 years, and you know, when I was in there, we were teaching them all the stuff about the whatever. Okay. That shouldn't be fascinating to you. You should be looking at them funny, like, what do you mean you were in there? How come you were in there? What did you do wrong? Let me know what you did wrong. Don't let me know the stuff you did when you were in there. Let me know what you did wrong to get in there so I don't do that and end up in there. How about that? How about do classes on that? How about 500 for that? How about $5,000 for that? Teach me all your errors for $5,000 so I could know what not to do. So I could know all the dumb stuff that you did so I don't go down that road. And only the real ones would tell you about their errors. Only the real ones are going to tell you what they did wrong and have no shame in the game that they were wrong and be open about it, about the fact that they were wrong. You know what was messed up? The messed up part was that, and then they let you know what they did messed up so you don't do that. But they're not telling you any of that. They're popping up. Now they're the man. Now I'm the man. Follow me because we figured this stuff out. They didn't figure anything. They didn't even figure themselves out. How they figured out something else? Don't get caught up. I yield the floor, Moor.
No, those are all major facts, bro. Major facts. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just knowing from a perspective that we are Aboriginal Indigenous, you know, however we decide to move, it should still be in alignment with what is just and true. So, you know, the fact that consulates are for people who are foreigners in a different land, like if we went to China, there would be a consulate. If we went to India, there would be a consulate. We don't need that in our own land. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, just moving as Aboriginal Indigenous people, whether people agree with it or not, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff, bro. There's a lot of weird stuff. And, you know, I'm just saying, stay true to self. To all those out there, as Cujo was saying, you know, really ask these people, well, what did you do wrong to get in there? What would you say that was? Did you move a certain way that day? Did you not pray that day? Like, what did you do? You know what I mean? Was your ego on 1,000? Like, what happened? You know? So, yeah, and then there's a lot of people who are not studying diligently enough, and then, you know, blaming different religions. It's so much going on, bro. Mm-hmm. And it's easy for people to get lost if they're not grounded on self. And for me, I got to give thanks to Noble Drew Ali, again, back to the fact this is convention week, and there's efforts to make us realize the unity of life. You know, how all of these different perspectives of so-called religions, not necessarily all political, but, you know, the fact the man said we honor all prophets and listed them all. You know, this brought a certain concept of unity, not just to Moors, but to people. You know what I mean? Because there's people of different nationalities. Yeah, definitely because we needed him the most. Moors did. But what I'm saying is, the man's message anybody could relate to.
Yeah.
Especially being born in America. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, when we take things that are meant for everybody and then, like, covet them and pocket them like it's only coming from this source who remixed it in 2022 or whatever, you know, there's something we have to learn in that to not do. Whether it's now, whether we've already learned it, whether there's people in the future who might need to know, like, there's a reason for certain formats. And again, like, I can't stress enough the lack of originality, bro. You know? Because, like, it was literally meant to be given away. So, yeah, I say that to say, you know, stay true to self. I know you wanted to speak on the gay situation. I seen something else you posted on your IG about that. He was speaking some speech. I know he's been a hot topic over the past couple of weeks and whatnot.
Yep.
Back to this color thing of black and white, you know, so according to certain lessons, people are going to see that a certain way because according to what we know, not what we believe, like there's verified references that a free white person does not mean someone of the Caucasian race. You know, and the fact that he wore a shirt saying that, it has caused a lot of pushback, bro.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to speak on that as well, you know, so to switch gears, I wanted you to go in on that because I did see some of the interview. I can't say I agree with everything he said. I do feel like, you know, I'm not going to talk about George Floyd's character or anything, but from what I've seen, I did see him, you know, pass away with a knee on his neck. Like, I saw that on TV. I don't know, but, yeah, man, I mean, he was talking that talk on different nationalities, religions. What was it that you wanted to add on from that? Because I didn't get to see the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. No, well, actually, what was based on what you've seen thus far, I just wanted to get your perspective on it.
Cujo might have dropped again.
No, I'm here.
But that's not the case.
Well, yeah, I did drop again. No, I didn't drop. I'm here.
Peace, Moor, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Moor.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. Anybody on Canaanland Moor's YouTube page, let me know if y'all just hear me. If y'all don't hear me, Cujo. If y'all just hearing Cujo but not me, I'm not sure. But until we get it right, yeah, that's my main point on the night is that, you know, the format, the copying and not giving any type of credit or acknowledgement. Okay. All right. Peace to King Solo or Soul 10. Okay. Khadijah says we hear you both. All right. So then that's an issue on Blog Talk then. I don't know what to say, Cujo. Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, because I don't know if the
muted. That's crazy. Unmuted.
Peace, Moor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know
sure
what
I'm
to
not
do.
muted.
I don't hear Cujo.
Peace, Moor. You can hear me? You got me now?
I can hear you now.
All right.
I can hear you now.
All right, we're good. We're good.
Okay, pardon. Yeah. All right, cool.
We heard everything. What I was saying was I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you heard thus far, because also too the secondary part of it is if you haven't checking out the documentary that Candace Owens did on the whole BLM George Floyd being a martyr thing, which is where Ye was going with the whole thing, why people are, you know, getting upset and all that stuff too. He was only presenting what he saw in the documentary, not just openly assassinating somebody who got murdered, his character or whatever. One of the things that I took away from the documentary was the same thing that we're just talking about with people going to jail. That, you know, you can say that, you know, you went to jail once or twice or something like that, then you should be, you know, trying to reform and whatever. But when you got 5, 6, 7, 8 times that you went in there, you should probably know how these highwaymen do by now. You should probably be clear to you. You know, they say something, you probably just want to do it. You know, you don't want to be acting up. You don't want to be wilding, because they have a record on you. They know you better than you know yourself. If you've been in there 20 times, you obviously don't know yourself if you've been in there 20 times, and you probably need to humble yourself you know, and recognize, again, take some responsibility, have some accountability, and know that you're in error for the position that you took. Going back to the same thing that we're saying about how come these people aren't telling you what they did wrong. That should be the first thing that they're doing a lecture on. First thing they're doing a lecture on should be what they did wrong. Not, oh yeah, I'm out now, so we're gonna start doing this thing, and then everybody's starting to do this thing that they're doing once they got out. No, but yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the on what you've seen in the interview thus far, or what you saw of it before they actually took it down and stopped people from getting the little nuggets that Ye was given.
Yeah. All right. So I feel like Kanye is mentally on another level. Whatever level that is, I'm not saying it's crazy, but you know, there's some things he says and then some things he does. Like I'd be like, damn, I don't think he really recognized, you know, who he is, because personally, like watching the interview, it felt like he had to name drop so many people. Like he wasn't that dude himself, like the Kanye we know that produced music. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we don't know this yet. He's definitely on something. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. But I'm like, nah, like, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gay. You know what I mean? I appreciate his perspective on the direction and everything like that. You know, even the clips I've seen on the IG. But like, I just think he was wilding when he said he didn't see the knee on his neck. But, you know, I still listen to his music. You know what I'm saying? I listen to Late Registration and College Dropout and Graduation. I'll listen to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he still got bars. Don't get me wrong. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think that it could be looked at from so many different ways. To try to have an impartial perspective is kind of hard. But then I look at it again on another level, like, he's a Gemini, so there's a duality in that, where it's like, all right, well, it's easy to agree with this part that he said, but this part that he said, you like, you know what I mean? But so I'm looking at it a different way. But yeah, I think there's some validity to what he's saying. Don't get me wrong, but I can't say that everything he said I would agree with as far as the knee on the neck. I'm not talking about what his nationality was or wasn't, what he claimed to be. I'm just like, I know we seen on the tube. I could be wrong. Maybe I didn't watch all of Candace Owens' documentary, but I did see on the tube where it was like, you know, it was a knee on his neck. And they do that, the highwaymen do that in the sort of many people, especially our people, often, and we know that. Whether it be a chokehold, a knee on the neck, it's like they try to cut off the holy breath when they deal with us. And again, I'm not saying, you know, George Floyd is in fact a martyr or whatever, and I agree with his lifestyle. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying, you know, from what I've seen, you know, that's one point of it. But he did have some valid points. And I would say that I don't think Nori should be apologizing either, because, like, he did what he was supposed to do when, you know, there's people with something to say with valid points, maybe everything not agreeable. But, you know, as a brother in that industry or whatnot, I think Nori wasn't wrong for giving them the platform to speak his piece when he was being blackballed by every other platform, you know, and you know, that's what I got from it. Like, you know, that was a real thing. And I heard him talk about we the original Jews, and this again is why I say it's like a duality, because he said in the interview that he was jealous. That's my thought. Not my thought, but he did say that. And it's like, he don't have no reason to be jealous of nobody, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? We know how that goes in the Circle 7. That's a part of the lower self.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wouldn't have said that or I don't think, I don't know if he meant it in a different way, but there was just certain things I was hearing different in the conversation, So yeah, I mean that's what I got from it in the sense of know its worth. You know what I'm saying? Because the money doesn't make the worth. Like it's the energy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I do feel like again I can't give a full perspective on it because I did not watch the whole thing. But from what I've seen, yes, he has some points. But then at the same time, it was other points. I'm like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I think and I think a lot of that has to do with the same thing that we're talking about with people not having a foundation. We could use as an example that if you don't read RVB every day, you don't have a sturdy footing. You're going to be kind of all over the place. Thinking you could do this and thinking you could do that and thinking that this applies and well just say this and just because there's no sure foundation stone. It's like it's like the people who get into this information 1 year and then they want to go out and do some stuff. No, go sit down somewhere. It's only been a year. You ain't did any studying yet. You didn't even scratch the surface studying yet. You didn't even scratch the surface. Shouldn't even be doing any interviews talking about anything, because majority of it is going to be geared toward emotion. Majority of it is going to be geared toward belief, not to what we know. Just like when he was talking about in the interview with mentioning certain people who you got ample amounts of records that once you mention certain people, they're shutting your stuff down. That's just what it is. They have that much clout in whatever industry that they cornered the market on victimization to the point where nobody else could be a victim but them. No one else. Anybody else saying that they're a victim, or no, your victimization is nothing compared to the stuff that these people went through. And being in that realm that he's in, knowing that certain people run every industry, you should already know what's up. It shouldn't even be, it shouldn't even have gotten to that place. Because the other part of it is that it's not like Ye was only on Drink Champs. He was on 2 Europeans platform too. And I didn't hear them apologizing or anything like that and pulling down their stuff.
Right.
So what's going on here? Is everybody in on the game and just have the people as dummies? Is everybody in on it? Is it really a charade? And everybody's getting played, and everybody who's involved is a party of making sure that the people stay confused and dumb. Which again goes back to, you better be studying for yourself so you can know. So you can use your own faculties of your mind and come to some type of conclusion with regard to what's going on. Because as soon as we keep looking for the outside reference to qualify where you're at, you're already done. You're done already. It's just a reference, whatever's outside. Whatever's external, that's just a reference point. Ultimately, it's going to come right down to, how do you see it? How are you looking at it? And just like going back to things that Ye was saying, them shutting him down. Well, they're violating my right to free speech. Yeah, they are, But you know, the only people who get their rights violated are Negroes. Anybody else getting violated like that? They got pedophiles and stuff like that. They got their videos up still. They got TRANS people with their videos up, with them teaching children how to cross dress and all this stuff. They got their stuff on. And going back to the thing with the strike, you know what I mean? We're getting strike because we're calling out, you know, Rizza Islam as a rapist. How come we're getting a strike? How come that's harassment? Like, why is that harassment?
Oh, word.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Right. Why is it harassment? Because or why is it racial whatever? Because we did a white Lives Matter t-shirt video, but everybody else has a White Lives Matter t-shirt video and they're not getting no strikes. Their stuff is up there still. And we're talking in the past month, we got 2 strikes. Past month, 2 strikes for harassing a rapist and for talking about the same stuff that everybody else is talking about. You know, is the algorithm, or you know, are people really playing games out here trying to stop you from getting what's real? You know. It's crazy, you know, but that's just, you know, at this point, you know, that's why we got 2 YouTube pages and all that stuff, because we already know how these people do. It's not a surprise with regard to certain things, you know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be surprised they took down the stuff. Like, why are you surprised? You know who you're dealing with. He was calling them out. So obviously he knows who he's dealing with. If these people run the industry and all that stuff, like he was saying, then obviously they got their finger on the button. You know,
yeah,
and
another thing about it was, from what I did see in the interview, is like he was calling harm to himself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
He was like saying he was called out, who he called out, and then was like, come run up for me. Come, you know, check my chin. Come, you know, he offered death into his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I recall in one of the albums, you know, you had a intro by Black Dot speaking about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know you know what I'm talking about. Damn, I wish I had it uploaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember, I forgot. It was in the very beginning, you know, when he was talking about the fact, you know, you put that energy out there, it'll really come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And your chain is staying next to you in the club, like, how does it look on you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're just invited into his life, that if you know that how powerful words is and the laws of attraction and all that shit, like, he wouldn't even have put that out there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you look at it in many different ways, you know? Like, I don't think he should have called that to himself. There's a lot to learn in that, bro.
Yeah. lots of lessons. You know? Lots of lessons. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. No, and again, going back to the thing about a lot to learn. You know, the learning isn't supposed to be a traumatic thing for you. You know what I mean? Learning is supposed to be a beautiful thing. You know, learning's not supposed to be scary. Learning's not supposed to be threatening. Learning is supposed to be an amazing experience. You're supposed to come out of learning with a new mind. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to come out of learning terrified. You know, people are coming out of learning terrified. They're not, you know, there was a time when knowing would get you lynched. There was a time when knowing would get you burnt at the stake. You know, and it that sort of fizzled out, and then now that stuff is back again. That knowing is, somebody who knows something is dangerous. We're only dangerous to somebody who's keeping people from not knowing. They're not dangerous to everybody. The one with knowledge is only dangerous to the one trying to keep people from having knowledge. You know, the threat is against the establishment. You know, even when he's bringing up things like thought police and all that stuff, that's George Orwell. So he's obviously in the realm of knowing. He's obviously in the realm of thinking for himself, you know, not thinking for others. And the only way that you can think for yourself is by you studying, by you digesting literature, you know. But again, if you're getting information from the wrong source, you know, knowing something means nothing. You better be knowing where you're getting your information from. You know.
Yeah, facts. And say, you know, the clip I seen on your IG with him talking about the name change and him being Ye opposed to Kanye at this point, is like Cassius Lee. You know what I mean? And he was talking about he's an American. You know, like you know what the word actually means, but you know, he was talking like that. So I mean, it seemed like he woke up to something civic, and let's not forget, and I don't want to drag nobody else into the conversation like that, but remember, he knows Moors in the industry. He worked with Nas.
Yeah.
He worked with Nasinde. You know what I mean? He worked with Talib Kweli. You know what I mean? So, like, let's not act like this conversation is foreign to him. You know what I mean? Like, why would we be surprised? Talking like a Moor. He's worked with Moors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come on. What more Nas got to do? Get old Othello the Moor, the clothing line, the whole thing. Like, so, you know, when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at it like, all right, Ye is speaking, you know, for a lot of people. A lot of people could relate to his conversation, but maybe not the masses yet because they don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why saying something about Black Lives? Moors know that Black is a slave label. It's not that we don't love our people, but, you know, it's a slave brand. Like, we can't cat. It is a slave brand, right? Like, by all counts and records, you know, Negro and Black mean the same thing, just Spanish and English, which were eventually, you know, colonists on the American land. So whether they call you Negro or Black, they're saying the same thing. So, you know, when he goes at the fact that, well, Black Lives Matter, because everybody was coming at him for wearing a White Lives Matter shirt, but he goes in and he says, you know, we all know, everybody knows that Black Lives Matter was a scam. He's talking about the organization.
Yeah.
Right? Not the people per se. And even down to today, that's the issue that Moors are having, even amongst different Moor science temples of America, because you got people saying, well, buck the temple, but not the Moors altogether. And then you got people who are saying buck the Moors, but not the temple altogether. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's so many perspectives, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, man, I see it there. And, yeah, I think he got something to say. He might need to find out how to express it a little better, because I know his original expression is music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where we know him and do it, whether it be beats, rhyming, but just the conversation out here, you know, he's into different, it's something different going on.
Mm.
So yeah, man, yeah. I think that there's something to be learned there, but there's also a lot to be learned there.
Yeah.
You know?
No doubt.
Yeah. Facts.
But yeah, and if
So
any,
yeah, and
yeah.
I mean,
No, go ahead, Moor.
that's one of the first lessons. I just wanted to say that's one of the first lessons that we get. Just coming into the Moorish information, like the information about nationality. The first thing is how simple it is. Like if it's about knowledge itself, right? It is so easy to see that we're not these different color codes, right? We can say, well, you know, we're not black, white, where a complexion is actually different shades of brown or bronze or copper, or, you know what I mean? And it's so easy to see upon upon a fair examination. Yeah, it is something a little funny about that word as being applied to a people, right? Like we're not all that color technically, but we get that's the common parlance. So I think that even him doing that was him trying to send a message. And again, what you posted on your IG page, I haven't seen that footage until a little bit before the when we came online and whatnot. Yeah, man. I mean, there's more people that know than we think. Like,
yeah.
A lot of them know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a takeaway too. I can't remember who it was. One of these Moors were talking about that earlier. I seen that post on IG. He's talking about you know, everybody's making a fuss about, you know, what Ye said and who he's talking about and da. But nobody's talking about the fact that he talk about black comes from a crayon box. Nobody's talking about the fact that he's letting you know that black is not where it's at. You know, being black is not where it's at. You know, like you said, he even came out and said he's American. Well, what more you need to hear to realize that somebody's making a transition? You know, the ghetto Othello the Moor. Like, what more you need to hear to know that somebody's making a transition? You know, we were talking about Derrick Rose with his crochet fez on in all the interviews now. You know, what more do you need to see? That people are making a transition. People are learning. People are evolving. You know, it's part of life. I mean, you can't be stagnant. Go ahead, Moor.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I don't know it all, but I know it's a brother with the Appalachian Bay that played for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
I also know Isaiah Thomas, you know, is like the Detroit Piston god. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we can't overlook. We've been saying this on Sports Center and TNT and all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the conversation out there, you know. So I'm looking at it like, yeah, Derrick Rose, you know, it's kind of hard. If you ask me, it's kind of hard to go through, you know, keystone cities and not hear about the Moor, especially Chicago, Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
New York, Newark, all over.
Yeah.
At this point, like those places specific, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, golly. So yeah, when you say D Rose with the crochet fez, it's like, yeah, you know, and you know, IT been on it for a minute. Like I was shocked, jaw to the floor when IT was on TNT talking that talk.
Yeah.
I'm like, this the first time I heard it. I remember I was like, yo,
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this man just said everything except for I'm a Moorish American or I study Noble Drew Ali. Then the next time, another time, he just said it. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, if you know,
You
that
know,
what he was saying in that clip, yeah, it's like he could talk like this and not have studied Noble Drew Ali. There's no way. You're not just saying this. You're not just saying Asiatics. You're not just talking about the Dred Scott case just because. You're not just, you know what I mean, saying black or color codes. Like, he's saying all of this on TNT, national television.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We were here before 1492. Like, that ain't, he knows what he's talking about, making certain statements. Gotta know.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, to the point when you were saying Kanye was like, a lot of people are not realizing that, you know, Kanye was talking about black is not where it's at and whatnot. It's like people take certain points because I guess that's like a Gemini effect, the twins, right? So, like, people will say, well, he's bipolar. What if he's just a full-blown Gemini? Like, and there's nothing against Gemini. You know what I'm saying? What if that's just, he got to balance that out, right? Like, what if that is his, like he got to balance that. That could be his case. Who knows? I'm just saying, when we talk about man is like, in the lessons of the Circle 7 and all of that, it could get very deep. You know what I mean? You have to watch what you're watching. And it's like, you know, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not trying to re-diagnose him or nothing. I'm just saying you never know. It sounds like from certain points, pardon. Shout out to all the Geminis. No shade to y'all, but this like, yo, I be with Geminis sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, maybe he just needs to get that balance. I mean, like, a man that is wanting his family back, you know what I'm saying? Like, that could be destabilizing in a sense. Maybe he's, you know, coming out of a sense of comfort that he had or a sense of normalcy. Like, you never know how that affects somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't want to doctoral. I'm just saying before people write him off, like, mentally, spiritually, like, how deep is this conversation? People are calling him crazy. And on another hand, he making so much sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, you know. So, yeah, man. Shout out to all y'all Geminis. So, shade to y'all, man. Yeah. Real talk.
Straight.
You know? Yeah, man. So, yeah. But, yeah, with that, I'm just saying that's the most basic lesson Moors learned ab initio coming into the information is like how that black was used for a slave brand. And if I can, I'm just going to give this reference and I'm going to yield the floor. I shared this before, but this is from the sister Emma Marie Trusty. It's a book called The Underground Railroad, Ties That Bound Unveiled, on page 87. And again, I shared this reference years ago, but I got this book, it was no more than 50 notes. And then I was sharing it, and people was like, yo, it's 800 notes for this book. I mean, the book has value, but yeah, I didn't pay 800 notes for it. Like, this was a 50-note book, and I got it at a book fair. So page 87, it says, the names Murray, Gould, and Pierce were identified as Nanticoke, Lenni Lenape, so-called Indian names. A number of Lenni Lenape remained in Cape May, Cumberland, and Salem. Around 1803, most of their tribe was removed from the region by wagon trains and on foot. In early federal census reports of the region, clusters of those with the names of Gould, Pierce, and Murray were identified by the letters MU, Mu, and that stood for mulatto. It says these cluster patterns seem to authenticate their claim to be Native Americans. And this is the kicker. It says other Native Americans remained in the South Jersey region of darker complexions. They were simply classed as B for black in early federal documents. So these, quote, Native Americans, or Moors to be precise, were simply classified as B for black in early federal documents. why we know, like, among other references, that, black is a label. It's a slave brand. So, yeah, no offense to our people who think that that's what they are, but to know thyself and to know the history of how these terms came to be, I think it's imperative to have as many references to the fact that, one, the so-called blacks of America are, in fact, Aboriginal indigenous, and more important than that is the fact that they were known as Moors. You know what I mean? In this land. Whatever tribe they claim, whether they claim Lenape, Cherokee, Chickasaw, whatever tribe, they were all Moors. So the fact that Noble Ali's lessons of we're not Negro, black, and color would seem to impact the very people who were labeled that, which were the original people of the as B for black in early federal documents. Again, that's Emma Marie Trusty. The Underground Railroad ties that down unveiled. You know what I mean? That's the name of her book. And it's packed with a lot of history of the East Coast and other places. So, yeah, and like I look at that and it's like, yeah, so why wouldn't this be a conversation? But it's been glossed over and accepted on an emotional attachment level to being black that we're not really looking at the facts of the matter of it being or not, of a people, right? Like, it's really not. Whose identity is that? Who gave you that identity? It's not our own. So, yeah,
Islam.
And people mad. Yeah. And people mad at Moors for knowing that. It's like, it's a lack of knowledge. It's an ignorance level that is being accepted as, acceptable knowledge when it's emotionalism, as far as, when you put these concepts to the actual facts of history and law, like, they really don't stand. Yeah.
Yep. So on that note, we wanted to put this out because we had I did a IG yesterday dealing with this, and for whatever reason they muted it. So we're gonna recap some of this convention from a report of the convention that was done by one of the Moors of Detroit. And there's a few things in here that Moors could jot down so you could do your further research on. But it stresses the point of how, one, Noble Ali was extremely on point with regard to founding this amazing movement, this amazing religious corporation, this idea, presenting this idea to our people so we can get ourselves together, and to the impact that this information had on the masses in the 1920s, and how serious people were taking the platform that Noble Ali presented, and to ask ourselves today, why aren't Moors supporting the platform as much as it was supported in the past? So this the following is a report by Sister M. Sanifer L. of Detroit, Michigan, submitted by Sister Martha W. L. of Temple 43 in Mount Clemens, Michigan. And since this is the 20th, and 20th was the last day of the convention, we'll just go through all the days, all the sessions, and just so we could get the perspective of how big this convention was. Monday night session. The temple was beautifully decorated in lovely roses of white and red. The roses were designed in the form of the crescent and star, and chair of the prophet was a mass of white roses. There was a testimonial meeting, and a sister from Temple 5 gave a speech entitled, "I am glad I am not a Negro. Jesus passed this way before." Afterward, Governor Carner Bay, Temple 4, Detroit, Michigan, was introduced. He said, "I am here because of the prophet," and he proceeded with a most excellent speech. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali and a number of governors and grand sheiks came in dressed in costumes representing the nations of the world. The Prophet led the group. The spirit of the Prophet filled the temple for a long time. Such rejoicing you never heard. Afterwards, the Governor Garner Bay proceeded with his speech. He emphasized recognition. His speech was a masterpiece. Then Brother W. Smith Bay of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was presented. He used for his subject the spirit of unity, how our hearts burned while he talked. The Moors then sung "Shine on Me." At this period, we were in the midst of a glorious meeting. Governor J. Lomax Bay of Detroit, Michigan, Temple 4, was presented. He said, "When the prophet speaks to us, we feel no fear." He used for his subject, "My Father and I are one." He proceeded by saying, "I cried for this message, prayed, bore the cross for this message, but had to wait on our prophet Noble Drew Ali, who is shaking every government." Governor Lomax Bay was caught up in the spirit, and he spoke as he never spoke before. Also, he directed the song "Free at Last." He said, "The spirit of resurrection is in the land, and we are rising out of the grace one by one." There was a song by Sister Mince Bay and two little girls. They are from Temple 3, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The song was "Who is Noble Drew Ali?" The words were touching. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali came forward, and he said, "The garment I have on represents power, and if you obey my voice, you will have power with me. I am going to free you, though it's hard because of your mixture, which brings about many different spirits. When you fail to hear my voice, you are lost. It is against the law to stand up in any audience intoxicated. The leader is not to stay out all night, giving earnings away to someone else. You who are heads of temples, it is easy for you to destroy the influence of the temple. Now lace up your shoes and get right." There was a collection that was taken for the parade, which realized $68.30. Tuesday PM session. We assembled at 3 p.m. Governor Mealy L., Temple 1, Chicago, Illinois, opened the meeting. Governor Garner Bay made the opening address. Grand Governor of Michigan, Brother J. Lomax Bay, took charge, reporting the work of Temple 4 and its commercial enterprises. Temple 4 Sunday School was represented by Sister M. Sanifer L. The work was represented to its fullest extent. The temple was spiritually and financially represented by Brother J. Lomax Bay, Grand Governor. The reports were a credit to the temple. Brother Trailer Bay and others gave short speeches, then collection was taken. Tuesday night session. A speaker said, "There was a time once when the Moors saved civilization. I am glad you have relighted the lamp. Don't let nobody turn you around. We will never be a nation until we have all the rights of civilization and someone sitting in Congress. I see that these people have seen the light and walk in the light." Brother Payne Bay, attorney of Chicago, Illinois, was presented. He said, "I don't know a moment of my life that I have been more happier than now." His speech was of the highest type. Honorable Anderson of Chicago, Illinois, was introduced. He said the growth of the movement has been marvelous. He said many good things for the Moors. Honorable Oscar DePriest of Chicago, Illinois, was presented. He said, I feel encouraged, knowing that with your prayers I will succeed. I wish more of my people would join the temple. His talk was encouraging. Honorable George W. Blackburn, representative of Chicago, Illinois, said, I am here to serve you. We are all Moorish Americans. Honorable Oscar DePriest, attorney Payne Bay, and Honorable G.W. Blackburn are members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Oscar W. DePriest was the first U.S. congressman from Illinois who was of Moorish descent. Governor Pilot Bay of New Jersey came forward using for his subject, Let the Moors Lead. Someday, the Moors will lead the world back to love. One half of the wisdom of Noble Drew Ali was never been told. Nations are crying for peace, but our prophet declares there shall never be peace until the world has accepted love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The representative of the president of the state band of Chicago was introduced and proceeded by saying, I don't want my job if I can't serve you all. If I can't serve you all, it is not worthy of being open. I am the closest man to your temple, and I am going to follow him now. The prophet Drew Ali came forward and made a good speech. He said, our nationality began in this government with a parade. Wednesday PM session, the Moorish American Parade. There were some speakers that preceded the Holy Prophet. And then he said, you stop figuring out your way, how your salvation shall come. Just follow me. You can say one thing, Moors, you have made a start for the kingdom. If you want success, you must follow the prophet. Husbands, take care of your wives and families. Wives, keep your homes and children clean. His talk was wonderful. Governor Mealy L., Temple 1, Chicago, Illinois, said there is just one way for the Asiatics, one religion, Islamism, one God, Allah, and one destiny. Afterward, we were favored with a musical presentation by the Chicago Brass Band. Prophet Noble Drew Ali came forward and said many good things. He said, I have done more than you think. I want you to help me by your good deeds of living at home and abroad. It is through your good, not your lips, trying to be in the front seat of everything, always standing in my face. Moors, be careful of your steps. Leaders of temples must be careful how they walk. They must be an example. I am not asleep. It will take you Moors a long time to figure out what I did today. When you all go home, don't start no stuff, for I will be right there listening at you. A brother from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania gave a talk. He said, the world is worried now, worried because we are out of Egypt. Wednesday night session. Governor Crumby Bay, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, presided. There was a befitting program that was rendered by members of Temple 5, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, when consisted of reading a quartet and reports of the temple. Thursday PM session. There was a testimonial service. Brother Trailer Bay of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania came forward and said, be careful what you say, how you say, when you say, and where you say. Governor White Bay of Charleston, West Virginia said, when I accepted my nationality, people called me crazy. If Islamism would make you go crazy, we all should go crazy. He used for his subject, for what cause are we here? To take our minds back to Islamism, that we may be able to function under the 5 greatest principles that the world has ever known. Sister Smith Bay of Baltimore, Maryland, made a very nice talk. There was a talk by Sister Tompkin L. of Detroit, Michigan, Temple 4, which was very good. Brother Ross Bay spoke, saying that Edison solving big problems by giving a little bit to 40 different men all coming together. Governor Lomax Bay, who spoke out of soul, There was a solo by a little girl from Temple 1, Chicago, Illinois. There was a reading by Sister Pearl Ali. Sister Lomax Bay, Temple 4, Detroit, Michigan, sang a solo. The Prophet Drew Ali came forward and said, "This is no social organization. It is a divine and national movement." He further said, "By you being born here, don't make you a citizen." He said, "Look what I have on now. This was handed to me by the government. It represents the royal prince. Many good things were said." Islamism. So there's a report of the convention, and when you have people like Oscar the Priest and these people making it known that they're down with the Moorish movement, they're down with Noble Drew Ali, they're down with the 5 principles. The world is not going to be for peace until the world adopts the 5 principles, should be inspiring to Moors who are already there. It should be eye-opening to Moors to know that, when we look at the historical reference of Oscar the Priest being the first Asiatic congressman of Chicago, and the fact that he was in the temple, we have the pictures of him and Noble Drew Ali to prove that he was in the temple, and that he was able to inspire these Moors to go out and cast their ballot, cast their vote for him, a Moorish American, to be in office. And then we get to 2023 and people are debating about who the Moors are and what the Moors are about, and is this real or whatever. You know that somebody played our people for generations. For years our people have been played. If we have the pictures to show that all these individuals were part of the temple, not only were they part of the temple, but Moors were taking their place to make sure that we have our own people in office so that we can get some things done for ourselves. And then now we're looking at it today and everybody in our office is black. Everybody in our office is boule. Everybody in office is some traitor or some sellout. Know that was by design. That was deliberate to get the power away from the Moors, get the power out of the Moors' hands, and put the power into hands that really aren't about uplifting not just the Asiatics of America, but uplifting the world. And like the Moor said in the chat, that was just a 1 page, but that was a great read for Moors to be inspired with the works of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali from the 1920s and how serious his impact was. But I yield the floor so you could speak on your thoughts, Ms., on what you just heard.
In front, bro. I was thinking you was talking about people going to vote, and where we started the conversation off at, and we was talking about yay and whatnot. I never voted for a president in my life, bro.
Straight.
Not a politician, president, or none of that. But if Ye run 2024, I might just consider a free national ballot. Facts. I don't mean like I would, try to, how to do that part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how do you cast a free national ballot? I will study to do that for that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying, whether it's for him or against his opponent, I would have to learn how to cast a free national ballot. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Yeah, bro. Because that's what Noble Dry Lee was talking about, casting a free national ballot.
Yep.
Right? Like, I've never seen a president that I felt at that time was worthy of me going to go vote for or cast a free national ballot at that time. Again, don't shoot me, but you know what I'm saying? When Barack Obama came into office, I was in my 20s, man. What was it? 2008? Yeah, he came in 2008. I was like 21. I was not concerned about who the next president was. You know what I'm saying? So it's not real talk. I wasn't at that time. Like, I knew that there was 9 Moorish presidents before, but like they wasn't, you know what I mean? So in this day and time, I'm just saying that would probably be something we need to look into. Like, even if we say we don't vote or whatever, it's like, how do we cast the free national ballot? Right? Like, that's what Noble Dry Lee mentioned. You know, people could agree with it or not. I'm just saying that's what he was mentioning in the Divine Warning. So yeah, I mean, taking all of that information from then to now and just seeing the times we in now, it's a great thing. And it also showed me too that Noble Dry Lee wasn't necessarily selfish to, you know, other people, because he said he had a litany of speakers there before. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was the Wednesday when you was reading the notes of the convention.
Yeah.
It was like on Wednesday, multiple speakers before him.
Mm-hmm.
So that means he was all about, it's just what I gotta say and that's it. But maybe he heard something that was misleading, because you know how it go. You know what I mean? Like, you start letting a bunch of different people speak, you're talking about a bunch of different opinions, and that's why he had to reinforce, like, listen, you know, these thoughts may have been just to challenge people on how to think, how not to think. There was so many different points of view in the room, you know. I would have to say, from the perspective, he was talking about governors from different regions, and what was that, 1928, first convention?
Yeah.
So let's keep this in perspective too, right? It wasn't like Moors wasn't involved, but think about it. If he started his work in 1913 and then had the first convention in 1928, right? Like, he's fully in. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking almost 2 decades in, right? 10 years in, and then he has his first convention, right? He established the Moorish Holy Temple Science, Old Canaanite Temple, 1913, but first convention, 1928. So how much did his wisdom grow between 1913 and 1928 is one question.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even with him being a prophet and whatnot, I would have to assume, just off the cycle of life, that his perspective was different from 1913 than it was in 1928, as far as it being more expansive, right? Like, you're looking at him expanding now, establishing different corporations in different regions, you know what I mean? And it's like in headquarters in different places. So, yeah, I think that's something else to consider too, is like, you know, at this point, if he started off as a civic organization, he must have got so deep into the civics that he really realized, you know, one thing that has to be respected is religious freedom in law. That's wisdom. Mm-hmm. That's constitutional, right? That's constitutional. So he's all in. That's how I see it. You know what I mean? Yep. He was all in at that point, and then the next year, he wasn't in the physical no more. But still, you know how that go, as far as, you know, life after rest. So, yeah, man, like, I just see there's a lot there's a lot to fill in the blanks on, but the fact that he was that far in and was opening the floor for other speakers, you know, says a lot too at that particular point in time.
Oh, pardon the interjection. Pardon the interjection, Moore. Just as you said that, I had a flashback of National Theater. How many times have the mothers or somebody been presenting there, and you had the same thing happen? People coming up there to give their opinion, trying to make the mothers sound crazy or whatever like that, and they had to shut them down.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, no. And then it's so real, like it's crazy. I remember one time, and there's a few people that could have vouch for this. I know the brother Sharif remember this clear as day, Minka as well. But I remember, man, being up there giving a lecture, and as soon as somebody hit the door, like come through the door a certain way, you could already tell what the energy was. Like, you know, people are coming. Like, I remember it was two brothers that came from a temple up there, you know, trench coat and fez on. And I knew as soon as they hit the door, they was here to try to challenge, but I shut them down to the point they left the class. You know what I'm saying? And but as soon as I seen them come through the door, I knew what they was there for. I already knew. And I'm like, okay, the energy is they're here to challenge our thought, right? Because that's not nothing new. People always challenging thoughts, and you know, it should be this way or that way, and all of this, and you know, this is the solstice, and this is not Noble Drew Ali's birthday, and this is Drew Ali's birthday, and we go by the Gregorian calendar, all types of different thoughts. And you know what I mean? You could just tell when that energy is really in and on somebody. So yeah, I say that to say, again, to your point of seeing people come to the class to try to challenge, but more often it was people, you know, willing to learn. And some people, I mean, like certain people don't want to let go of the falsehoods that they've been living in. Like, there's a lot of resistance to that. Like, when you're just telling the truth, and the truth is just shattering the life of lies, that can make some people uncomfortable. You see what I'm saying? Like, they like, nah, it gotta be like this, that, and third. And, you know, it's because you're telling the truth on something that was, you know, built on half-truths. Like, people say they love Jesus, but then if you get into religion and their love for Jesus, you're breaking it apart, not trying to, but just by telling the truth, right? Like, it's like, yeah, Jesus is not God. Like, he's not the great God of the universe. It's no slight to the reference and the legendary story, but the reality is the Son of God is actually the sun that we see every day in the sky. But, you know, you can call him Jesus, Justice, Son of God, whatever. Well, that makes some people uncomfortable, you know, because they may not know what you know. So, yeah, man, like, it's like that part. And anybody listening on line, we got a minute left. If you do want to call in, sorry about that. The number is rolling at the bottom of the screen. If you're listening via YouTube, we are almost in our last hour. We about to hit our last hour. There was a couple people with their hands up. I meant to acknowledge y'all, but there still is one person with their hand up. And we appreciate you for tuning in and waiting so long. But let me see. Let's see if they still online with us. Call us 647. Live on the air, please. You with us still? All right, call us 647-29. You with us? All right, so
All right, guess not.
call us 647. they had their hand up for a minute, and I seen a few callers just drop as soon as I went back to check the call-in log. But yeah, pardon. But yeah, I just wanted to check back in because I know that we in the last hour. So yeah, man, like the fact that there's just so many levels and things that come to mind when you speak about the convention and the convention week and the notes of the convention. It's like, you know, what was really going on. You can only imagine. You know, he was getting garments. He said, not mistaken, from the governor. I don't know if you said governor or government.
Yeah, government.
But yeah,
government.
Right. So who did we get that from? I wonder what he was wearing. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there was another article about it. There's some interesting stuff in this as well. Dealing with the same thing. With regard to Oscar the Priest and all that, but I just want to put this out there too. Notwithstanding the fact, Honorable Oscar the Priest, as well as Alderman Anderson, was very busy with their campaign. They took time to stay throughout the meeting, and the closing addresses were delivered by Honorable Oscar the Priest. He outlined very simply but forcefully the matters involved in the congressional campaign of the first Asiatic congressman who has entered the halls of Congress for more than a quarter of a century. He reminded the audience that 28 years ago, Honorable George F. White, in his last address to that lawmaking body, told them that his leave would be only temporary and that it would be only a matter of time that he would return in the person of one of his brothers. Now, in the course of political events, the time presents itself for the return of that honorable man in the person of Honorable Oscar the Priest. Honorable George W. Blackwell, state representative and a strong member of the temple, explained the economic situation as it relates to the Moorish Americans. His was a very interesting address. The meeting was extremely enthusiastic. It could be easily seen that the Moorish Americans caught the spirit of the speaker and demonstrated it very dramatically. During the course of the speaker's talk, the prophet took the occasion to bless his efforts in his great undertaking, all of which was very proper and fitting. Honorable Oscar the Priest thanked him and said, "I feel that with the help of the Moorish Americans in this city, that I have won." And then, as we know, he won. As everybody knows, he won. So with the help of the Moorish Americans, Oscar the Priest got into Congress, but then they're telling you that he's the first black congressman of Chicago and all this, which again lets you know how deep the treason and the sellout goes, and why it's imperative that we study what Noble Drew Ali presented, because everybody was down with his program. Everybody was down with his program. And like he said, a lot of you Moors who are supporting him today were the same Moors who were supporting him yesterday. So we give honors to you for staying true to the cause. Give honors to you for being the Oscar the Priest of this day. Right? The Isaiah Thomases and these individuals who they let you know something. They at least let you know something. They at least took the time to consider what Noble Drew Ali said, and then presented him to you, and then you make a decision on where you're going with it. You make a decision where you're going with it and how you're going to deal with it. Just remember, Drew Ali told you that at the utmost of your very life, you should be defending him, and you should be defending your movement. And he's only telling you that because he already knew the levels, the low levels where people were going to try to take this thing. And you're in an amazing place knowing the truth about your nationality and your birthrights. Because as we see, you know, it's only few of us who are true to the cause of this. And many have taken what Noble Drew Ali brought, and just like back then, made themselves so much finance and not give anything back, that, you know, they should ride the mare of steel for just being such low down, dirty people with this information. People who left this, all those governors that he mentioned, Lomax Bay, Givens L, Kirkman, Elijah Poole Bay, David Fordell, all these people who were around Noble Drew Ali, who after he transitioned, all of a sudden, now they're Noble Drew Ali, and they got something for you instead of sticking to the program. So honors to all the Moors with thick skin that know the work that it takes in this, know that the commitment that it takes, and regardless of what the hell's going on, and sticking to the program that was laid down by our prophet. But I yield the floor. Islam.
Facts, bro. You gotta have thick skin with this, because there's so much adversity from the, like he said, you know, those who claim to be woke are really still in the sleep state. So we just gotta all stay true to what we know, what we believe, what got us to where we at, where we want to be, you know, where we're going. You know, different concepts might work for different people. You know, I say that from, you know, people's choice of religion or religious ideology, whatever it may be. But like you said, we know that all of these are astro theology. And this is what all of those stories are based off. And when you do the history, you know, all of these philosophies come from Moors, whether it's Jewish, Islamic, Buddhist. You know, as Noble Drew Ali informed us, you know, our foremothers and forefathers founded the world's first religious creed. So, you know, there's something to be looked at in that. So, yeah, man, I mean, nationality is still the order of the day. You know, and Noble Drew Ali left us a blueprint. And I believe, you know, there's so many levels to it that you can find ways to survive or redeem yourself from any condition in life that you are in. Like any condition in life that you're at, you can find some motivation in the lesson. Well, when people say they come from older books, well, all the information comes from older information. That is a fact. You know, so either way we look at it, those are all our divine lessons. And there's so much philosophies, you know, whether it be Medica, Kabbalion, Circle 7, Bible. We understand it's really cosmological. All of them are kind of like in unison if you could get the story. And that's why books like you got the Metaphysical Bible and things like that. We got the Light of Egypt to take these things out of code, you know, and know what they're actually talking about. Then it removes the mystery God aspect. And you are, you know what I mean, one with your creator. Like, I mean, that's said in the Circle 7, Allah, man, or one. All of these different things. So what we do, what we manifest here, there's going to be everything, because Allah is all here. You know, adversaries, allies, everything. So yeah, I mean, again, just sticking to the format, like you said, even with understanding, overstanding what Noble Dry Ali was trying to give to us, you know, from all of our portions of understanding, you know, is the same. We got to stay true to the format in the sense of even like just taking the flyer and turning it into a writ, which was always just meant to be given out. Like, nobody's sending that writ out. Like, that's to be passed out, like footwork, you know, active in different locations. Community. Nah, that's the difference, though. You know what I mean? That's the difference. Is like, you know, certain paperwork is people are trying to sell it to you, and when it's meant to just be given away. You know what I mean? And the format that it's in, flyer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, I just see that even with the ideologies we follow, we still got to get to a point where we tap into ourselves and dig into the spirit, man, and you know, bring out our own creativity. And I think that that's one of the lessons that a lot of people are missing, you know? It's like, nah, you can create something totally different and be successful with it. But, I mean, it's one that we might all have to learn. I don't know. Many people need to learn it. But, yeah, Moor, I don't want to drag it out. If there's anything you want to say in closing, we don't have any callers left because I did have a lot of people on hold for a minute. You know, like, there was a few hands up, but they was early. So, yeah, I didn't mean to keep everybody waiting, but it's all good.
It's all good.
You know
it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, of course, you know, as usual, we just want to give honors to the platform, Moorish Heritage and History School, for having Sons of Allah on here for as long as we've been on here. And like we say every third Thursday, it seems like we get the good Thursdays, you know, to be able to close out on the convention day of the first convention, close out on the 20th as Sons of Allah. Definitely, but lets me know that Allah and Drew Ali and everybody else is in our corner. And honors to all the Moors in attendance. That's always been supporting, always been riding with Noble Drew Ali and the 5 principles and everything else Moorish. Peace and love to you, and honors to you, Ms. Give thanks again for being the co-host, and you know, many more to go for us here with Sons of Allah. I yield the floor. Islam to all the Moors, and happy holy day to all the Moors.
Yes, likewise. Big acknowledgement to you as well, and definitely everybody that was tuned in. Again, like you said, every third Thursday we do this and bring it in on the Holy Day Eve. For those who are really into the lessons, you already know. And we'll be back again. And there's definitely transitional times right now, but we'll be back very soon, Cujo. I tapped in, bro. I seen what you was posting on Instagram and whatnot at Moorish MC, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. I don't know where you'll be finding some of this stuff, but man, that
detectives everywhere. Detectives everywhere, boy. It's not even me. It's these Moors. It's these Moors out here.
Like that. Like, I knew people bought out last month. I knew people was like, trying to soak RV Bay as far as, site was down for less than 24 hours. Send everything to us. But let's just be clear, like, we do not rock with no concept of consulate. We love Moors. We are Moors. But political ideologies and whatnot. We had nothing to do with that. So yeah, man, like when especially when they take in giveaways, like the copying shit, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Giveaway, you know what I'm saying? And formatting them is rich. You really need to really pay attention to that. But yeah, man, we're gonna stay true. You know, we're gonna continue to build on these concepts that were given to us, this history that was given to us, the history that we found out ourselves, the history we dug up, the information, and you know, keep it moving in the right direction. But yeah, like again, I can't stress enough, we don't have anything to do with the consulate. You know, what I saw there, you know, I'm good. I don't, we good. We know we indigenous here, so yeah, man. But we love Moors, and I just think that there's so much that we got to get right that there's still a lot of work to do, bro.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of work to do. Maybe the essence of thinking about it, maybe that was the essence of the convention. You know, again, I'm not trying to drag this out, but when Noble Drew Ali was saying there was a multitude of speakers there, right? That's what a convention is all about. It doesn't, you know, it's not biased in the sense of, you know, this is what people are convening with so many different people and so many different thoughts, but all, you know, in the right direction, all being, you know, well informed, but still having different points of views on different. So yeah, I don't want it to be perceived like, oh, RV Bay don't rock with the consulate, meaning they don't rock with Moors. No, that's never the case. It's just the fact that, you know, there's certain concepts that are definitely not what Noble Drew Ali was doing, and definitely not what we are doing. And, you know, doesn't love our people anymore or less. It's just we don't rock with them. And I think one of the secrets, not even secrets, but like open secrets, is the fact that you mentioned people are paying $5 to $7K for paperwork and whatnot. I think it's because they're not comprehending the lessons of Noble Drew Ali or the add-ons or the blueprint that he was trying to give to us to help civilize, was the fact that in all of this, right, at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, nobody can save you. Like, you have to save yourself, right? Faith without works is dead. It's dead faith. So, like, as we're placing our faith and, you know, our fate in the hands of others and taking the hands-off approach and, you know, y'all do it instead of me, that's not going to be productive. And I think that's what's happening when people are even willing to pay that much, bro. And I'm not pocket watching them, just like, damn, that is kind of ridiculous. Yeah. I know there's certain things, like, not a mechanic, you know what I'm saying? So there's certain issues, if it happens with a car, like, I'm not even going to try to play around with. I'm going to be like, all right, I'm taking this to the professionals, right? Like, this is what they do. And if they do this and it don't work, then they got liability till they do it right, right? Like, so, you know, I know when certain things are just out of my league. It's not meant for me to do. But, you know, one thing I can do is read, you know what I'm saying, and know the laws of the land like everybody should, you know what I'm saying? And just knowing the Constitution, it makes everything a lot simpler for our position. So when we don't know that, right, like, because that is the law of the land, that's what the judges in every state are bound by oath of affirmation, right? Like, and not to say they don't violate, but when we know that, knowing that we were born in America, descendants of Moroccans, born in America, North, South, or Central, then we know the law of the land, it's already laid out, you know. And when it talks about 3/5 of an individual, like they was talking about slaves compared to being 3/5 of a free person, right? A free individual. But who is to say that some of us were not free back then? we were definitely free back then too. So who were they really counting as free as?
Yeah.
Wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, even for those in a black or more degree, right? Like, all so-called black or blackamoors were not considered slaves. They'll say free blacks, but we know that's free Moors. In the 1800 period, early 1900 period, Noble Ali came on the scene correcting the error. But we know that those were free Moors. So, yeah, man, like, if that's the law of the land, that's what we need to be looking at, sticking to. No matter what they do, we know that they do violate the law. We've seen it time and time again. But they can't call us anti-government. They can't call us anti-anything if we are standing on what is the established law of the land, not what we're making up. When people are saying, well, based off the Constitution, you know, all cases where a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. I just want to say this because there's people, not all, but some who are saying that this is not a concept Noble Drew Ali taught because maybe he didn't say it directly, but he said enforce the Constitution, or, you know, and in that, right, this is what it says. It says, you know, in all cases where a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. So when they're looking at Moors in this day and time saying, hey, you shouldn't challenge jurisdiction, Noble Drew Ali never talked about jurisdiction. Yeah, he pointed you to the references to where that becomes a conversation. But if you're not following the references that he's talking about, first off, you're not studying and you can't really comprehend what his message is, right? Like, you know what I mean? If people don't get the fact that, according to him, enforcing the Constitution or standing for the principles of a free national constitution and free national government, right, essentially, this is what he's saying. But what does that mean? So many levels to it, man. So, yeah, I'll just say that to say, like, you know, comprehend that Moors are not weird or off the course of what Noble Drew Ali said when you know, these conversations come up. And it's usually people on the digital wave who claim to be in the temple and RV Bay isn't teaching the right thing and all of this. So, you know, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying there's so much more than what meets the eye and the surface that we have to, you know what I mean, take our studies serious and then become competent, and then we could be in propria persona su juris, and then we don't have to always look outside of self for, you know, our savior. Not saying we're not going to need people's help, but like at the end of the day, you know, we got to take care of self too. So there shouldn't be anybody else who takes your situations more serious than you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So whether that be an attorney, somebody who's helping you in law, whatever, like nobody should be taking your life more serious than you, except your loved ones, your known ones, right? Like, so yeah, I say that to say that, you know, to your point of people charging that much, it's like, you know, what are the people's knowledge base? Are they thinking they're hiring an attorney? Like, I don't know what's going on with that, bro. But it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, Moore, I'm gonna leave that there. I didn't mean to rant.
Oh, you're
I didn't
good.
mean to drag it out. But I just wanted to say that you know, we don't have nothing to do with that ideology, and that's just that, you know.
Islam.
So it's easy because love, man, is not complicated. It's very simple. Yeah. So with that being said, I want to say peace and love. Thank you again, Cool Joe. Again, as you said, you know, for being a co-host, and you know, we continuing to do this on the platform. and opening up your platform as well. I hope y'all get the strikes lifted. I don't know why they on y'all censorship like that, like they censoring, of course, but that's what Ye was saying. But yeah, man, got just know what time it is.
Yep.
And I trust, because, man, forget you've been getting striked, but you always get back on, man. You always get your channel back. Definitely love it. So I trust again, you make it happen. You know?
Islam.
Islam, Moor.
Peace to all the Moors
All
out
right.
there.
That being said, indeed. And I trust y'all be back with Godspeed on your other YouTube page. But for now, we're gonna stay tuned, and definitely I'll be tuned to Moorish MC on IG, bro, because I'm like, damn, man, this is crazy with the whole copying. And I'm like, oh,
copying flyers now. Yeah, they're copying flyers.
Yeah, reformat flyers, bro. And again, just the lack of creativity it shows. But yeah, bro, we're gonna leave that there. Peace and love to all, man. All right.
Yeah. Hand operation rapper in position. Operation rapper in position. All the gods got it in. It's off lips, y'all. The devil here and the blind will see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. Indirectly, Drew Ali, one of the names of internationally. Drew said more, screaming nationality, because they're not Ethiopian or NBC. So we found it, another cemetery in 28 leagues, saying that they will cross the big debate. So I need to clear up the mess for most civics, so they can big up their chest to prove what they know and what they can do. Recreating the wheel that was created by Drew. When you know the truth, many fake, few humble themselves and from the jungle themselves. Just do me, keeping my goal while they trading their jewelry. Costa Rican nature based fool me. You fool me, and your dreams dirty more they can mule me, fool me. Who's the real Drew? Me and we. And seeing more their religion is my mental degree. And where everybody's supposed to be. If not, I guess that's not where you're supposed to be. Hopefully, Drew Ali will be seen openly and realize NBC is something you can be. The devil on the air, Bravo, see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The devil on the air, Bravo, see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The devil on the air, Bravo, see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The devil on the air, Bravo, see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. Unconscious ones love the semblance of identity and having no remembrance of the more factual resemblance of the ancestral land inheritance. Love being the children, not the parents. To do any activity asking for clearance. Their minds like crystal, nothing but clearance. Everyone can possess in their land, the heirs can. It's your status, stop making racist. Who bleed just like you, if you shag their faces. You walk through air and pyramid spaceships, and they use that as an emblem on the apron. And can't be free if not Moorish nations. Black or more Europeans or not Caucasians. Coming to the new world of civilized pagans. The boat to harvest from Mars on hills, we send in an agent. The devil on the air, Bravo, see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The devil on the air, Bravo, see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The devil on the air, Bravo, see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The devil on the air, Bravo, see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali.
To transcend and ascend in this is a journey, just like the more traveling. World, the sound within. They gotta touch her as we excel. Pass all the sort of truths and the lies they tell. To keep y'all from drinking at the well. Divine love, that's the fountain they do. Sun secret, it's the alchemist secret. Restoring true unity, resurrecting our community. So every day you make the fight. Know it's hard, it's less hard. In every demonstration, I'm penetrating to the depths of the mind. A noble chief, well kept and refined. The feeling is bright like the star Sirius. This musician is the son of man. I love the band, who I lead on the canvas. On my soul, to replenish the whole. Replacing the old, it's spreading home. Reaches to the pinnacle. Native and original MC is relevant. And the style is intelligent, but I keep it interesting.
dropping true math in the sight to get is the center to study yourself and be renewed. That's elevation, restoration through contemplation and meditation. Now the soul's navigating, man. Before me get this mic, utilizing the light on the path. My body is an astro lab. I take the right action. And my compass is a passion for internal alchemy.